Hey, and we're back, and I'm joined for this last segment of the show. I'm joined by Stephen Aaron. Stephen Aaron is the Gilmer County GOP chair of Gilmer County Republican Party. Stephen, glad to have you here with me. You were on the phone. You were able to listen in to our last caller, the GOP chair in Northampton County, which Northampton County, Pennsylvania, is 350,000 residents there. And Lee is the GOP chair plus volunteer coordinator for the Lehigh Valley. That they're putting 3 counties together there for that. Stephen, you were listening in there. I don't think, and you have connections and friends around the country. We're in North Georgia. We don't quite understand being under the Democrat attack.
No,
like
we do
they
not.
do. And they are severely under the attack. You heard that. You said you have some friends out in Colorado that attended a rally.
Yes.
And what did they say about the rally they attended?
They basically said that it was standing room only. They've been to 3 or 4 different rallies, and they cannot see, and they've been monitoring the Clinton and the Democratic rallies as well. And they do not see how that Hillary can take Colorado. They're saying that Colorado's going to go for Trump. Now,
All right, let me get this because what we're doing is, let me tell you something. I call it the unforeseen. They're saying the unforeseen. Okay, they can't predict the unforeseen. All right. I watched Morning Joe this morning. That's my forgiveness. I'm asking for forgiveness at 6 a.m. But Morning Joe. The unforeseen. I call the unforeseen us. They don't know us. So you're saying out in Colorado, you got some friends out there. All right, now, big question. Are they about your age?
Yes, they are about my age.
All right, so they're about your age, college educated.
Yes.
I'm checking. I'm a pollster now.
Yeah.
So no, are you not? I mean, they got this broke down to the guy with gray hair, the guy with brown hair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're college educated. Mm-hmm. They're about your age. Mm-hmm. They live in Colorado. Mm-hmm. They smoke dope. Almost got you. I was 3 for 4. Well, Colorado.
Nope.
Okay.
Don't smoke dope.
All right, but anyhow, they just feel in their gut they just cannot see Colorado going for Hillary.
They can't. And I think with all the stuff that's been coming out about WikiLeaks, or coming out from WikiLeaks, there's a lot of people that are changing their mind, but they're still telling the pollsters the way that they were going to vote. But as a lot of this information comes to light, people are changing their minds as they get into the polling booth. They get into that mindset of, can I really cast my ballot for someone that I know breaks the law and is completely unethical, or am I more concerned about someone who says mean things?
Yesterday I seen where they said, well, we have a choice between a criminal or a racist. They've not proved Donald Trump's a racist, but we have enough proof that Hillary's a criminal.
Well, you know what? The racist accusation is something that the Democrats level against us every single election since 2000. And to me, it pushes a button because, as I've said before, I am not Donald Trump's biggest fan, but he is definitely my choice for president. And you can go back and look through his history. Donald Trump had the very first skyscraper designed and built by a female contractor in New York City. Donald Trump has hired countless minorities, Black, Hispanic, Eastern European, all over the spectrum, and put them in high-level positions in different portions of the Trump Corporation. If that is him being racist, I would love to see a real racist. Because if someone is willing to hire, minorities from all over the spectrum and put them in not just, bottom level positions, but in mid-management and upper management positions, I don't see how that person can be a racist. It seems like he bases things on merit instead of on outward features to me.
Well, now I want to be clear. Obviously, you're a Republican.
I am.
and it's been one for quite some time. Do you think, you mentioned WikiLeaks, do you think young people are reading this? Are they reading this? Now I'm serious, because you have some libertarian friends.
I do.
You have some liberal friends. I mean, a lot of college age kids that you know from that you went to college with that have moved all over the country. But are they reading this?
My liberal friends are believing the propaganda that the Hillary campaign puts out, that everything from WikiLeaks is coming from the Russian government, and that the Russian government's trying to get Trump put into power because Trump and Vladimir Putin are the best of friends. So my liberal friends are completely ignoring it. My libertarian-leaning friends are reading the WikiLeaks mainly because they believe that WikiLeaks has a goal to hold power accountable, no matter if it's left or right. And in a sense, I kind of believe the same way. I mean, you know, Julian Assange brought some stuff out in the latter part of the last decade about things that happened under President Bush that weren't exactly ethical, or some people might even say legal. And there are times where I feel that we need to know that information. And so I think that WikiLeaks and Julian Assange are actually performing a service for us, the American people, who should be the ones that are rightfully in control of our government, not our government be in control of us.
I have maintained that rural America will bring this election in. Now, we have seen, my opinion is the Democrats actually have been trying to do everything they can to not remind people who their candidate is.
Yes.
You understand? Mm-hmm. I mean, that actually hurts them the more that their candidate is up front. So they're having these concerts. They're having all these Jay-Z, from Beyonce to Obama. They're having concert after concert.
But they're not getting Hillary out there.
But when she does get out there, everybody's gone. I know the media wants to play this down. How crooked, I hear this morning, or I've heard it, that CNN was actually sending to the DNC saying, hey, Wolf Blitzer's going to interview Donald Trump. Do you have any suggestions? How crooked across the board do you feel the media is yourself? I want to know from you. How crooked do you feel they are across the board?
Well,
Give me a couple examples of what you see.
Well, I think I can sum it up that I do not watch CNN. I don't watch MSNBC. I don't even watch Fox News anymore, and I haven't for several years now, because with us going to a round-the-clock news cycle, you can no longer trust any news agency to accurately report information without bias. You see, I think back in my parents' day and even my grandparents' day, when you had your news at 9 a.m., 12 a.m., and 6 p.m., they could only afford to give you the facts of what was going on.
Right.
And nothing else. So now you've got the facts that are getting diluted by all this bloviating and just basically propaganda that they're putting out based upon what part of the political spectrum you're on. And there's no true objective news source. I mean, if I want to watch a presidential debate, I go and watch it on C-SPAN.
Yeah, you and I have discussed. You and I know that, don't we?
If I want to watch a speech, I go and watch it on C-SPAN.
Convention. I watched the whole convention on C-SPAN.
So did I. Mm-hmm. Both the Republican and the Democratic conventions. And if I want to find out about an event that happened or something that people are reporting on, I will read several different articles on news sites online before I form my opinion on it. And I'll usually start with Politico and just sort of make my rounds.
But you want to make sure that that topic shows up 4 or 5 times as the sources before you go out and say something.
Yes.
I do that
or
myself.
Form an opinion, or even just form a
if
personal
you're going
opinion
through social media, if you're going through social media right now, I know computer repair people are really raking it in right now, because if you're going through social media and there's a big thing and it's got Hillary in handcuffs and says, Hillary Clinton just pulled off the stage at a rally and arrested by FBI, and you click on it, you probably just downloaded a virus.
Most likely.
Right? So those are the ones you have to double check 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I will say this. There's been, and I don't know how many places you go, but I caution myself, but there's been some unsuspected, very good sources of information that have popped up outside of the mainstream media. What do they call it? Hedge Zero? That is a good site. They got one guy on there that is knocking it out of the park. Zero Hedge. All right, Zero Hedge. This Tyler Durden, knocking it out of the park. He is the one that broke the John Podesta's best friend at the Department of Justice will be in charge of the DOJ's probe into Yuma Abedin's emails. So I'm not shocked yesterday. I was talking to Frank, which you and I both know Frank, Friday afternoon, and we were discussing what time Comey would come out and say that Hillary was cleared. What time? We thought it'd be a Friday drop, but
I thought it would be a Monday morning drop.
okay, well, he did a Sunday afternoon, so they'd all have Monday morning to talk about it freshly and get their talking points. But anyhow, that being said, I knew when the letter came out, and then John Podesta's best friend, Kadzik, which is the Assistant Attorney General, was put in place to review the emails. Like, really? Thanks for going over to help.
Well, I mean, and you know, the thing about it is they cannot lie and say that there was no classified information on that server. They've pulled it up in front of the House committee showing that there was classified information on that server. And even some materials that were to such a high extent classified that they can't even be shared with the American people at this point in time because it could risk assets. And to me, you know, we've seen examples time and again where a Department of Justice worker or someone that works in the Department of Defense or works in the Pentagon accidentally misplaces one email or has some issue like that. And there have been countless people that have had to serve a decade or more in prison over one classified email getting sent to the wrong location accidentally. Not even intentionally. It's like accidentally hitting the reply all button and sending it out. We're talking about one classified email, and these people spend over a decade in prison. And Hillary Clinton, they've already identified, over 300 emails that had classified material on it. She should be in prison for the rest of her life.
Okay.
I'm not kidding.
No, I'm okay.
If you've got 10 years for each email that was misplaced, she should be in there until her body turns to dust.
Very much.
Okay, I'm agreeing. We're on the same page. It's just you're bringing it with a new flair that I must say I enjoy. Okay, a new enthusiasm that I'm actually relaxing here. You're bringing it home. All right, quick one. Well, we know Clinton directed her maid to print out classified materials. I mean, if you can't trust the maid, who can you trust, right?
Well, you know.
But Comey knows this. So I said earlier in the day that I didn't think it was to our benefit to not waste our time, but to drill down on Comey. It's to our benefit to take the last day, call every friend, email every friend, go in your email list, go in your total email list, go on social media, and nothing has bothered me any more than the kick your neighbor in the teeth mode. I don't think we need to kick our neighbor in the teeth, okay? And we need to just say, look, you and I are friends. You go to email list, folks, and you got 300 people in your email list, and you pick all 300, and you sincerely write them and say, you're receiving this email because you're on my list and you're my friend. And you start that way. And say, I want to share with you, my husband and I have lost our insurance, can't replace it, can't afford Obamacare and we're being fined by the IRS. Or my husband and I, our deductible has gone from $2,000 to $6,000. Or this, and this. And plead to them and say, I just ask you to help make the decision tomorrow to get rid of this. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. And I mean, you know, the examples, I guess this is a perfect example. I turned 26 on November 15th. And of course, I can no longer be covered under my parents' health insurance. So it is up to me to go out and buy my own health insurance. Well, the cheapest plan I can find on Obamacare is $300 a month. And the cheapest plan I can find outside of Obamacare is around $500 a month. Now, me being on a farmer's salary, that doesn't work out too well. And, you know...
Yeah, but the $300 a month, you're not telling people. It's the bronze plan, and it doesn't cover anything.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
I've got a $1,000 deductible on that plan. So, I mean, what's the point of even having insurance at that point? I can't even pay for a doctor's visit. But, you know, going back to what you were saying about getting people out to the polls, here in Georgia, especially here in North Georgia, people have already been turning out in droves.
Yes.
I have been talking with our voter registrar every couple of days, and that during the entire period of early voting, they averaged between 300 and 500 people a day for early voting.
They've never seen anything like this.
No, they have never, in the history of voting in this county, seen anything like this. And, I mean, for the very first time in my life going to vote, I had to wait in line to vote, and I early voted. I had to wait for 20 minutes, and that has never happened to me before. And you know what? The whole time I was standing in line, I was standing there beaming with pride because I was glad people were getting out to the polls. Now, it means we're going to have seemingly low voter turnout on election day. It's really just the people that want to vote on election day that'll be turning out tomorrow. But we've got all these absentee and absentee in-person ballots that are going to outweigh them. And, you know, and that's not just in Gilmer County. That's throughout North Georgia. That's throughout South Georgia. The Atlanta area, they may have turned out some more Democrats. But, I mean, the point being...
And they're not rushing to the poll to vote for Hillary Clinton.
No, they're not rushing to the poll to vote for Hillary Clinton. I mean, even some of my hardcore liberal... You know, the Democratic Party it has been sent by God to cleanse the world of Republicans, Democrat friends, are not excited about voting for Hillary.
Right.
And they didn't like Bernie Sanders either. So
you're hitting on the nail on the head. Georgia will come in big for Trump.
Yes.
The media wanted you to believe Georgia was in play. I yelled at this camera how many days in a row, George knows, George is back, glad to have him back. How many days in a row I've yelled at this camera for months telling people Georgia's not in play. What they were trying to do was deter the people of Georgia from going and helping Lee in Pennsylvania where they're actually in a battle.
Exactly. And that's because people in Georgia, especially conservatives in Georgia, are known for putting their money where their mouth is and traveling and helping other states.
I've said it many times. I beg people, look, Georgia's not in play. Don't stay home. Go help in other areas.
Now, there is one thing that I want to bring up that is a possibility. I don't think it's likely, but it is a possibility. You have two third-party candidates that are going to try and be spoilers for the Republican Party. You have Gary Johnson, who is a liberal social justice warrior, former Republican governor of New Mexico, which I don't see.
Can you say that twice?
Huh? Probably not.
I don't think you can say it, but go ahead.
But
that was quite a title he had.
And he and his former Republican, now liberal Democrat vice presidential candidate are running on the Libertarian ticket.
Very well done.
I do not see how anyone that claims to be a Libertarian can vote for those two idiots.
I have Libertarian friends. I understand my Libertarian friends. Don't understand wanting to vote for them.
But
right?
Yes.
Okay.
There is a possibility that Gary Johnson can take New Mexico and get its electoral votes just because he was so popular there as governor. All right. Now, people say, it's New Mexico, no big deal. They only have 5 electoral votes. Who cares? But then you've got the other spoiler in the race. You've got Evan McMullin, who has been propped up by, I wouldn't necessarily say the establishment, but he's been propped up by some of the hyper-moralistic people in the Republican Party that care more about their feelings getting hurt than about actually taking the White House and putting a Republican in office. And of course, Evan McMullin is a Mormon from Utah, and he's very popular there. So we could have the possibility of Johnson taking New Mexico and Evan McMullin taking Utah. Now, together that's only 11 electoral votes. But if Trump takes every state that he's leading in right now, and Hillary takes every state that she's leading in right now, with those 2 states not going to either of them, neither of them to get to 270.
Okay, now, I think you're correct on both states of the possibility, but I don't know that it would happen.
I don't know the likelihood.
I do like you opening the window to look into that. I agree with you. Now, that being said, do you think Trump wins?
2016 has been the weirdest year of my life. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The Cubs just won the World Series for the first time in 108 years.
108 stitches. There's 108 stitches in a baseball. My friend will immediately tell me that.
Oh, okay, come on. The Cubs just won the World Series. We've got Trump as the nominee for the Republican Party, which I honestly didn't see a year ago. We've got Hillary as the nominee for the Democratic Party, which,
I've seen it a year ago.
I honestly thought the Democrats would dump her in favor of Joe Biden or someone that was more electable.
I agree with that.
And like I said, 2016 has just been a really weird year.
Right.
And the thing that I hate about this election the most is I am scared to death about the election results because the polling is off so much in so many different states. You have one CNN ORC poll of the state that says, Hillary's ahead by 5, but you have another CNN ORC poll that comes out the same day that has Hillary down by 2. The polling is all over the place.
Something's wrong. ABC had her up 12. They brought her. They did the big headlines that it shrunk from 12 to tie in 10 days or 7 days. She lost 12 points, and now ABC is back up that she's back up 3.
Yeah.
Who are these people? You know what I mean? So, all right, I understand what you're saying there.
And the only 2 polls that I've consistently trusted throughout my life have been Gallup and Rasmussen. And even Rasmussen, their numbers are all over the place. And Rasmussen does a pretty good job of staying neutral. And the attitudes of people in this country are changing from day to day. And the amount of uncertainty with my degree in political science, I have eaten my fingernails to the bone over this election. And I will be so glad when it is over. But I am hoping and I am praying that we come out with a win tomorrow. If Trump wins every state that he's leading in right now, we are going to be perfectly fine. But if for some reason a wave of Democratic support comes in those states, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, all the dead people.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to the question there that you just filibustered.
I wasn't filibustering. I was explaining.
Okay. Okay. Point well taken. Does Trump win tomorrow night?
I hope so.
I do too. Okay. Yes, I think he wins tomorrow night. I believe in the unforeseen.
That's what
I believe in the unforeseen. I am amazed of Hillary Clinton standing on a stage calling herself a unifier. And I will say, strangely enough, these rallies can't be enough to call this, but believe it or not, there's a lot of LGBT support for Donald Trump that they don't want to talk about. And a lot of people don't realize there's several in the LGBT community that actually have businesses that don't want to pay these taxes. So there's There's women for Trump that they are trying to suppress and say is not there. I don't believe it. I never thought in my entire life that Trump would get basically not an endorsement, but the letter that Louis Farrakhan wrote. And I think people are going to be shocked by the black vote. I think the black vote is going to shock people.
I think that liberals are going to be shocked on several accounts with you. You know, of course, with you bringing up the LGBT vote, I have several LGBT friends that have come around to support Trump, and they're fairly open about it. But you want to know the funny thing about it? Every time they try to talk to one of their liberal friends about it, they get called all sorts of nasty names. I am talking things that I
liberals
would
don't
not
debate. They get
I
nasty.
things I would not even think about saying
Absolutely.
to anyone.
Absolutely.
And it's been the same thing with some of my other minority friends, my Hispanic and black friends that are voting for Trump. Every time they try to campaign to other friends that were liberals or are currently liberals, you know, I have seen liberals drop the N-word like nobody's business on people that are voting for Trump.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it just shocks me. But it goes back to the fact that the Democratic Party has never been about equality. The Democratic Party has never been about making sure that people had an equal playing field from the time that they're born till the time that they die. They have always been about oppression and keeping people enslaved in one fashion or another.
Why did Trump go to Minnesota?
Because Minnesota has been leaning towards Trump fairly heavily.
I've gone to the Real Clear Politics, and this is November 7th, and some of the last politics in these states, state polling is November 4th. So there's about 3 days lagging. Minnesota's Hillary has only got a 5.5 lead, according to Real Clear Politics. That was 3 days ago, okay? The unforeseens that may not be there. Michigan, 4.5 lead. Pennsylvania, this is 3 days ago, 2.5.
If she's
Wisconsin,
only got a 2.5 lead in Pennsylvania,
Real Clear is 2.5. Okay, that's the average of polls. Minnesota, 6. Now this is as of 10/25. This is not even November. This is the last 10/25. She only had a 6 point up there.
and that was before WikiLeaks started doing most of their dumps.
and this is before he went yesterday. Pennsylvania, 2.5. Michigan, there's Pennsylvania, 2.4, and that's as of 11/4, 3 days ago. Real Clear Politics average is 2.4.
For Pennsylvania, that's pretty close.
Right? You see what I'm saying? So I think the unforeseen is big. I think it's bigger than people know.
Well, you know, you talk about the unforeseen. I mean,
4.7, and this is 11.
even here in Georgia, with Trump on the ballot, we registered thousands more people that had voted for the first time in their life. Some of these people being 50 and 60 years old that voted for Trump.
I talked to a lady
in the primary.
in Carbon County, Pennsylvania. I talked to a lady that's the head of the elections in Carbon County, Pennsylvania. And she told me she was amazed at people coming in to register to vote that were in their 70s for the first time in their life in Carbon County, Pennsylvania.
And that has been a phenomenon that we have observed nationwide. And when the thing about and this goes back to the polling, but the thing about the polling when they're polling likely voters, they're polling people that have a voting history. Now, if you're a political operative and you work in the Republican Party or you work in the Democratic Party, there is a way to rate people based upon, you know, not who they voted for in previous elections, but generally speaking, how they voted. So you've got hard Republicans, weak Republicans, independents, weak Democrats, weak and strong Democrats, and then you have people that haven't voted. So they're going to choose people out of that list. And what this big slice of Trump's support is coming out of people that have never voted before. And the pollsters are going to choose people from those 5 categories.
Right.
And, you know, you've got this big slice over here that they're not even polling, that are voting for Trump. So that, to me, that makes me hopeful that the people that they think that don't really have a voting history has me hopeful that we're going to come out with a win tomorrow night.
Stephen, I want to thank you for coming this morning and helping us wrap this election coverage up.
Can I put in a quick plug?
Yes, it's a quick plug.
Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., 1907, upstairs, the Gilmer County Republican Party will be having a victory party to watch the election results come in. So if you have some free time, if you want to socialize with other conservative and like-minded individuals, please come join us at 1907. You can order your own food, and there will be a cash bar available, so we can either drink in celebration or we can drink in depression, but hopefully it'll be drinking in celebration.
Just be drinking no matter what.
Exactly.
Well, folks, Wednesday morning we're going to be breaking open the muscadine wine here on the set because you remember we've discussed that. But let me bring this around. George is back, first of all. We're going to run just a minute over here, Cole. George is back. We're glad to have him back. He's been on vacation. He's going to tell you all about it when he gets in here. Glad to have him back. He's going to do from 10 to 11. And let me just wrap up real quick. I think it's important before we go. Pennsylvania is the #1 battleground state at this time. That's why they're doing their grand finale show tonight, from Obama to Michelle to everybody, Bon Jovi to Bruce Springsteen, everybody in Philadelphia. I have, in this show, we've worked very hard throughout this election campaign season to bring you on-the-ground information that you can really trust from Pennsylvania. So let me wrap this up today. We heard from my brother Jerry in the first half hour. Jerry went to the Trump rally, 27,000 in Hershey. Jerry went to the McCain rally 4 days before the election. He went to a Mitt Romney rally 4 days before the election in Pennsylvania. He actually got a little upset with me when I said what was the difference in the level of energy and what was the difference. He said there was zero comparison. You could not even compare the rallies. There were no comparison whatsoever. So that was a big thing. And he said this was Donald. It wasn't really like the Republican nominee. It was. He called him Captain America was there. He said, and that's just the feeling you get at the rally. Now we switch over to Lee. Lee gave us some hard information. If you're listening, Lee said they brought 9 buses. The Clinton campaign brought 9 bus loads out of New York of Hispanics to go door to door this past weekend. They're still there in the Lehigh Valley going door to door. They are in a battle. They are in a war, okay? They are watching these people to make sure they don't stay and vote, these 9 bus loads, all right? They're getting paid $18 an hour to go in and knock on doors and drag Democrats out to vote in the Lehigh Valley. She says they have a chance. They're excited. She's never been this excited. She's never had more poll workers. She said they have to register their poll workers, right? They had to register them. They had more registered than the Democrats in that area. But they're in a battle in Philadelphia. There's a major battle in Philadelphia tomorrow night. Eyes will be on Philadelphia. She is asking. Number one, she has 300 poll workers. She has asked our audience in Georgia for you to tell everybody to pray for her poll workers. Some of her poll workers are going to be in some very tough areas. And her poll workers are already getting intimidating threats. Okay, another prayer request that she had was Pennsylvania votes on Tuesday. The lines will be enormous. They want their people to stay in line. Their fear is the lines will be so long people will leave the line and not vote. But pray for their safety. She repeatedly, over and over and over, said they were under attack, didn't she? Under attack. So let's remember our friends in Pennsylvania. We'll be back tomorrow morning as we get our Election Day coverage started right here, bright and early at 8 a.m. And we're going to go now. And George is going to come in, and he's going to take an hour. He's going to tell you about his vacation. And I for sure he's got some things on his list. He's had a while, hasn't he, Cole? Let's go to break. Let's get George in here. We're running late. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8. Good morning from the office. North Georgia's only live online morning show, fyntv.com. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome, Brian.